Hello everypony, I am Critical Thought and welcome to my review of Every Little Thing She Does. Mike Vogel, the rising star writer of Season 6 who brought us the wonderful A Hearthwarming Tale and Spice Up Your Life, as well as the not-so-wonderful Stranger Than fanfiction, is back for this Season 6 episode. His last episode had some major stumbles in it, but maybe that was more Josh Haber's fault. I mean, he did co-write that episode with him. Maybe Mike Vogel had nothing to do with the bad elements in that story and was just sabotaged by his partner. Will his next solo work be any better? Let's find out. We start this episode off with Twilight and Starlight waking up bright and early to practice magic. Why? There's just so much wrong with this on so many levels. Twilight seems to be blind to the fact that Starlight is already just as powerful as her, if not more so. This is not new information. We've known this since all the way back in the Season 5 premiere. But even if Starlight wasn't as powerful as Twi, what does Twi expect her to do? Does she think that Starlight can become just as powerful as an alicorn simply by training hard enough? If she could, then what even is the purpose of the existence of alicorns in the first place? I don't know if I should be happy this opening sequence is making me actually think critically, or angry that this episode is starting out so poorly. Theme. After Starlight makes a mess of Twi's library with her insanely powerful magic, she keeps showing off with new tricks to get it cleaned up fast with a speed spell and a duplication spell. We get it. Starlight is OP. Get to the point of all this. Twi soon notices that Starlight hasn't done any friendship lessons since befriending Trixie, so she pressures her to tackle one while she and Spike head to Canterlot to give a presentation at Celestia's school. Starlight tries hiding her fear about these lessons from Twi and Spike, but Spike soon figures out what's going on. Starlight denies her feelings, but they are pretty obvious. She feels very indebted to Twilight for giving her a second chance at friendship. She also looks up to her as a role model for what a good friend should be and is absolutely terrified of failing at friendship and letting her down. This is why she's been attempting to dazzle Twi with her skills in magic, so she doesn't run the risk of failing a friendship lesson and leaving Twi feeling disappointed in her. After Spike digs up several friendship lessons from the trash and reads them, they appear to be just harmless activities that Twi wants Starlight to do with the other main five. Things like baking a cake with Pinkie Pie or helping some animals with Fluttershy. I know Starlight implies here that she's scared of failing at these simple activities. However, if you look at it a bit closer, I don't think that's what she's really saying here. I think she doesn't see the point in doing these activities with her friends and worries that she can go through all the work of completing them and still will not understand what she was meant to learn from it. I mean, I do. Twi is trying to teach Starlight more about the elements of harmony themselves. She wants her to learn about laughter by hanging with Pinkie Pie or kindness by helping Fluttershy. But Starlight just sees these as pointless tasks, most of which don't satisfy her interests at all. And if she can't learn anything from them, then she's going to fail and disappoint Twilight. Upon thinking about it a little more, Starlight hopes she can expedite the process of learning if she tackles all 5 lessons at once using magic. Since she sees all of these lessons as just boring things to check off a to-do list rather than the bonding experience that Twilight intended them to be, she thinks Twi will be pleased with her efficiency. All the main 5 soon arrive at the castle and pretty quickly start to argue about the proper order in which Starlight should tackle her friendship lessons. This sends Starlight into a panic and she turns to a few magic spells to solve the issue. However, she kinda overdoes it and the spell forces her friends to basically do whatever she says. Oops.
In a medium-sized mixing bowl, beat together eggs, sugar, and 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Mix in flour. Add baking soda, salt, and cinnamon.
Okay, you all know I'm one of Pinkie's toughest crowds, but this was great. Just the deadpan expression sells it.
Big Mac knew if he just covered himself in mud, the creature wouldn't be able to see him.
First, we get a reference to Alien in Season 4. Now in Season 6, we get a reference to Predator. That's awesome. What's next, a Prometheus reference in Season 8? Obviously, the spell had more consequences than Starlight intended. Since her friends are now so devoid of free will, they take Starlight's demand quite literally, as Rarity just draws a recreation of the dress Starlight pointed to in a magazine and told her to make, while Pinkie bakes everything in the cookbook, not just the one cake recipe, after Starlight told her to keep following the instructions. Things get worse when Twilight returns home and sees the giant mess that Starlight had created. Even as Twilight fixes the spell, Starlight still misses the point of the lessons and just thinks that she messed up with the magic.
I just don't understand how a friendship lesson turned into all of this. Ugh, fine. I've been avoiding the friendship lessons on purpose.
Why?
I can cast complex spells, but baking a cake with Pinkie Pie freaks me out. And yes, I know how ridiculous that sounds. That's why I didn't say anything.
Wait, it really is as simple as Starlight being scared of doing these simple things? She thought that how she performed at these activities would ultimately determine if she passed or failed the friendship lesson? Wow. That motivation is so stupid that I actually refuse to believe it was that stupid when talking about the conflict at the beginning of this review. Just because Starlight admits that being afraid of baking a cake or chillaxing is silly, doesn't make it any more acceptable in terms of the plot. It is silly. Not silly in a meaningful way either. Silly in a this is a stupid motivation and shouldn't have been implemented way. I mean, I get that the whole point was to show Starlight that the lessons were meant to forge a stronger bond with her friends, rather than test her on her actual abilities, but when the tasks she was asked to complete are this simple, it makes her fear that she will fail at them just ludicrous. This could have been fixed if the stakes for the lessons were raised just a bit. Maybe instead of helping Applejack with her scrapbook, she could help her with zap apple harvesting. Instead of chillaxing with Rainbow Dash, she could help her attempt a dangerous new stunt. With a very real possibility of failure, these fears would feel a bit more grounded in reality. Of course, then that kind of ruins the entire point of them being friendship lessons. Because as Twilight said, all the activities she gave to Starlight to accomplish were things that those ponies she was meant to do them with enjoyed. If there was any other motivation other than fear of failure as to why Starlight didn't do these lessons, then it would have worked. Hell, the theory I proposed at the beginning of the review would have even worked. Instead of being afraid of failing at these simple little activities, one of which is to basically do nothing, I might add, have Starlight be afraid that she will do these things and not learn anything from it. It would be a much more believable fear than, I'm scared I'll fail at sitting, relaxing, and doing nothing with Rainbow Dash. Starlight goes to apologize to the very hungover Main 5, and after she is forgiven, proceeds to do all the things Twi asked her to do in the first place without even realizing it. I'm sorry, what? Yeah, I'll give my summary, just give me a minute.
1 minute, 37 seconds later.
So, what did I think of every little thing she does? Mike, what the hell was that? You've been responsible for some of the best episodes in the entire show, on par with the greats like Megan McCarthy and M.A. Larson. But this was just one giant mess of a plot. Even Stranger Than fanfiction was better than this garbage. The only things even remotely redeeming about this episode were a few of the references made by Applejack and that one scene with Pinkie in the kitchen. Other than that, this was a complete bore. The premise was half-assed and not thought through nearly enough, and it felt like nothing more than a filler episode. I can't help but give this episode a skip it rating. Is this one of the worst episodes of the show? Yeah, I think it is. And it's a bummer that it came from one of my favorite writers. I understand how Twilight felt about Starlight now in this episode. As she says, I'm not mad at you, but I am disappointed. As always, I am Critical Thought, and I will see you all in my next video. Never stop thinking critically.
I